Hello Math 20-2 and welcome back. Today we are doing lesson 4 statistics, which involve using the z-score tables. Now, we're going to need our book here, and we're going to have to open it up to not find the last page, and then we're going to go to the second last page. So here's your formula sheet, turn one page in, and we get our z-score tables. These will be given to you on your test, okay? So we're going to need to use those z-score tables to help us calculate a lot of the items here. Let's start off. Let's start off with question number 1. It says, on the normal curve shown in the shaded region where the z-score is less than -3. So I want to go right here. This is -3 because that means we are 3 standard deviations below the mean, and it's going to be right there, which is going to be a very small number. Now I'm going to use my z-score table to figure out what that is. So I'm going to take a look here. I'm going to find -3. Oh, I have to go down a bit. So there's -3.00. I go all the way to the side, and I have it right there. And I end up getting 0.0013. Okay, so I go back here, and I know that that is 0.0013. Now verify the answer using the standard distribution curve as shown from above. So let's take a look here. This is way back from lesson 3. You might remember this from lesson 3, this curve. And we have the same thing. Ah, look at that. It is the same thing. So now the z-score, when we look at the z-score and in the tables, the key thing to know is we're always looking at everything less than that z-score. Okay? So everything less than 3 standard deviations. Everything, if we had something here like 1, everything less than 1 standard deviation. So here is the next question. It says, use the z-score table to calculate the following. Alright? So, verify your answers by using the tables on the other side. So I'm going to keep this here and keep the z-score table open. So it says -2. So where would -2 be? -2 would be there on this side of the 0. Okay? So the first one says -2. So I move it right there. It's on this side of the 0. So this is 50%, and we want everything here, which is going to have to be less than 50%. Let's take a look at -2. -2.00. I go all the way across. I get 0.0228. Okay? So let's put that in. We get 0.0228. All right. Now, let's take a look at the next one, where we have 1. So 1 is right around there, and we want everything less. So what percentage will be less than 1? Go back to my table. 1.00 is right here. 1, and I look up, 0.00, right there. So I have 84.13. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. It's looking at 2. So that's going to be over here even farther, and we want everything under that curve. So let's take a look at 2. So we want 2.00. So 2 point, and we have right here 0.97772. Okay. So if we notice, the zeros are on this side of the positives. But with the negatives, the 0's, if I wanted 3.00, we have to go all the way over here. Okay? All right, now, let's take a look at example number 3, or B. Verify your answers using the normal distribution curve. So let's verify this using the normal distribution curve. And we want everything less than 2. Here they say 2.15. It's a little bit off. The next one here is 13. What was the next one? 84.13. Well, I'd have to add, if I look at this, and I add 50, because this here is all 50% plus 34, will give me 84.13. Because just from here to here is 34, and 84.13 is everything to there. Now this one right here, why do I get 2.8? Because this is just 0.215, so then I'd have to add this 0.0013 to get that. And that's what's going to give me all of this, okay? Because it's everything less. Not just to here, it's everything continuing on. All right? Now, let's take a look at the next one. 0.997 is everything less than 2. So right here, I have 2.15, and we want everything less than that, so I add all of these percentages up, or all of these decimals up, I'm going to end up getting that number. Okay? So, here we go. Now, example B is getting a little bit more, or example 3 is getting a little bit more difficult. We have decimals. So before, we were always able to calculate these things before with the whole numbers. But now we're looking at things with decimals, which is a little bit more complicated. We were not able to solve these ones here before. So how do we solve them? Let's look it over. Now we have to look at negative 2.13. And we said z is less than. So negative 2.13 is there, and we want everything less than 2.13. Okay? We want everything less than 2.13, which will give me, okay, we have to go negative. We're going to go 2.1, which is right there. And then I have to go all the way to 0.3, which is this column. And we go down, which gives me 0.166. Just autofocus a bit. So 0.0166. So this is 0.0166. Okay? I believe. Oh, 215. I did 13. It's 15. Whoops, I made a mistake. Sorry. So we want 15. So 215 right there. 0.0158. I don't know what I was thinking there. 0.0. Whoops. So we have 0.0158. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Here we're saying if the z-score is greater than that. So we want everything here. Well, I'm going to say this is the same as 1 subtract, and we want the probability of the area of 0 or 2.15. I have to erase this here. Well, 1 subtract the area of negative 2.15. Okay? Now, how do I solve that? I have to just go 1 subtract. Why do I have that? Because the whole area underneath, if you remember, is 1. Underneath the curve, the whole area is 1. And we know the z-score tells us only this side, everything on this side, but we want everything on the other side, so we have to go 1 subtract that. So, in other words, we're going to have 1 subtract 0.0158, which will end up giving me a total of 98.42%. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. It wants in between 2.15 and 2.15. So z must be greater than 2.15, so this is negative 2.15, and less than 2.15, so this is 2.15. So now for this one here, I'm going to go a bit different. If I look up 2.15, it'll tell me everything that way of it, right? So I'm going to look at area of 2.15, but I want to take away the area of negative 2.15 because I'm missing this part. So we subtract the area of negative 2.15. I'll just finish shading that in. Now, we know the area of this is 0.0158. Now we have to find the area of 2.15. Well, 2.15 is actually going to be this right here. 2.15 is the same as this, except it's going to be like this one going all the way that way. Because remember, these have to be equally away from the mean. So their area is going to be equally away from the mean. Okay? So here's an example. I think it's going to be 0.9842. Or 98.42%, 0.9842. So let's try this. 2.1, and go all the way over to 5, is 98.42. Okay? I'll show you again. 2.1 all the way over to 5 is 98.42. So we plug that in. And we're going to have now 90.9842. Now I subtract this, I'm going to be left with 96.84. That's it. Okay? Let's take a look at example 4. It says, determine to 4 decimal places the area under the curve for standard decimal of these. So we want this to 4 decimal places. Oh, this one wanted to convert to a percentage. That's why this is percent. Okay, this one here is 1.58%. Now this one, it just wants the area under. So when z here is less than 2.08. So 2.08 is over here, and everything less than 2.08. And that's perfect because our z-score table always tells us everything less than 2.08. So I'm going to look up in my table 2.08. So I go to 2.0, and I have to go all the way over. Make sure we can see the 8 here. And there we go. 2.0 all the way over to 8, which is 9812. So 0.9812. Okay, so the area of 2.08. That's all we want, because we want everything less than. This is saying we want everything greater than 0.92. So we're going to go here now. Whoop, 0.92 is going to be right there. We want everything less than. So, or everything greater than. Sorry, my mistake. We want everything greater than that. Oh, I need a better eraser. So we want everything greater. So that's going to be everything in here. Well, my z-score tells me everything less than. So I'm going to have to get the opposite. So 1 subtract area of, what was it? 0.92. Okay, let's take a look at that. 1 subtract area of 0.92. So I go here and I look 0.92. So 0.92. 92 is right there. Is 82.12. So that's going to give me 82, 1 subtract 82 point, or 0.8292. And if I do that, I'm going to end up getting 0.1788. Okay? Another way I could have done that, oh, that should be 212, 8212, I believe. 0. What is it? 92, 8212. That's a 1, not a 9. Okay? Another way I could have done that is done the negative. Because remember, I could have just looked at this at negative 0.92 because they are identical and it'd be everything there. So if I looked at negative 0.92 over there, I have the same thing, 1788. Okay? So it's 1788. That's another way. So there's actually 2 ways of doing this. Let's take a look at this one here. We want, well, we have negative 1.75 and 1.012. And we want everything in between. Because it has to be greater than this, but less than that. So remember, when we look up our z-scores, it tells us everything to the left. I'm just going to alter this and move this over for you a bit. Okay? So we want everything to the left. So let's try and solve this. What we have here now is we're going to go this one first. We go right, and then we're going to put the last one. So we want the area of 1.02. Oh, they're both negative, so this one's over there actually. And we want that, sorry. The negative 1.02. Subtract the area of negative 1.75. Okay, so we only want that little bit in there. We don't want this little bit here. And it just makes it look worse. Okay, so what is negative 1.02? We have to look that up. Negative 1.02. I'm going to look it up in here. I'm going to have negative 1.02. Negative 1.0. Go all the way over to 2, which is right around there. Okay, it's 2. Down, we end up getting all the way there, 1.021593. There we go, we can see that. 0.1593. So this is going to give me 0.1593. Now, we want to subtract this 1.75, which is farther that way. So 1.75. So let's find 1.75. Negative 1.7. And then we have to go all the way over to 5. Oh, too far. It's 0.0401. Now, if I subtract those, I'm going to end up getting 0.1138. Yep. Okay? Let's take a look at the next one. Here, we have a little bit more. It says, determine the probabilities to 4 decimal places. So now we're looking at probability, which is the exact same thing that we did here. These are the exact same questions. So what we did here, we're going to do there as well. So there's no big difference. So it's following the exact same thing, except it says probability. So anytime it says probability, area under a curve, anything like that, you're doing the same thing. So I'm going to skip to our more challenging ones in number 6. So here we go. Just alter that a bit more. It says, determine Z1 and Z2 from the examples below. So now we want to find Z1 or Z2. So here, I know this is 17.62. So that means the probability of Z1, or the area of Z1, is equal to 0.1762. So now I have to work in reverse. So I'm going to my Z table, and I have to figure out what that Z is. So we will have 0.71, right there, 0.1762. So I look up here. And where is 0.1762? 1762. I end up finding it way down here. Okay? So that is negative 0.93. So I have negative 0.93. Okay? And that is Z1. It's equal to that. Let's try this one here. Now this one, if we look at it, it is everything bigger than that. So to find the Z, it was 1 subtract the probability or area of Z1 is equal to 14.92. So then I have to rearrange these. I'm going to end up getting, rearrange these, so it's 1 minus 14.92, or 1 minus 0.1492 is equal to a Z1, which ends up giving me a total of, let's see, 0.8508, I think. Okay, so we have that, and we know that is equal to Z1, the area of it. So let's find out what that is. 0.8508. Okay, so we have 8508. So that will tell us everything that way, because remember, Z-score only tells us that. So we know it's on the positive side, so we want to look at 8508 right there, 1.04. Nice. So this is equal to, Z1 is equal to 1.04. All right, almost done. Let's take a look at C now. We have 0 to Z1. Okay, so we have 0.258 is the whole thing here. But this here is 0, so that's 50%. So I have to look at that 50%. So my total here is 0.5 plus 0.2580, that's a 5, which will give me 0.7580. So I have to look that up. So I know the probability of Z1 is equal to that. So let's look that up quickly here. So we get 7580. Quickly in here, I want 7580. No, 75. Close. No. 0.700. So Z1 is equal to 0.700. Okay, so we found that. It was right here, so it's 0.700. Okay, let's take a look at the next one here. This looks complicated. Now, we have 2 here that could be done. Now, this one right here, if I look at, I'm going to try Z2 first. So we're going to first look, at Z2. Okay, so let's take a look at the area of Z2. Okay, now Z2 is going to be 50% plus, subtract 0.1292. Why do I subtract? Because Z2 is everything this way, and this is the only thing greater than it, and that's up to 50, because remember this is 50%. So now when I subtract that, I'm going to get my probability for area 2, which is the same as 0.5 minus is 0.3708. Okay? Now I look up my z-score for 3708, 0.3. So 0.3708, it's going to have to be on this side because it's on the negative. So 3708, 0.3, see if you can see this, 3708, I think that's the closest. So I'm going to have 0.37 is negative 3 point, go all the way up, 3. Negative 0.33. So this is Z2 is equal to negative 0.33. Okay? Now let's try the next one is Z1. Well, we want to find Z1 is equal to, we have the area, is equal to now, well, we have to go, it's all of this, but we only want this part. So it's this, all of this here that we find out, Z2 subtract Z1 is equal to that, right? It's kind of what we're saying here. So in other words, all we have to do is subtract this number here from this, and that will give us the Z1. So we go 0.3708, and we have to subtract 0.2145. And that's going to give me a total of 1.56, 0.1563. Okay? Yep. Now, the next part here is we just looked that up. Looked at my trusty z-score, 0.1563. So it's going to be in the negative, so we go back here to the negatives, and we have 0.1563, 0.1562. Ah, that's the closest, is right there. So that is negative 1.001. And that's it. Hopefully you understood that. So it's negative 1.01. So hopefully you understood that. And that is Z1. So hopefully you understood that. Good luck tomorrow as we work on these together.